Good evening, everyone. You are all very welcome to this evening's MU Live. I'm delighted to be joining you. I'm literally zooming in from Northern Ireland. I was at a UCAS event today, so I'm zooming into you here this evening. I'm delighted to be joined by Jennifer Bolton, who is the Student Budgeting Advisor at Maynooth University. She's going to give a short presentation on the service that they provide there. We are also joined by my dear colleague Judith Caffrey, who's on base, who is the Communications Officer at Maynooth University in the admissions. And we are joined also by a recent graduate, Oriana Hackett, who currently works in student services, but did the BCL Law and Criminology as her undergraduate degree, and then last year did the LLM in International Justice. So if you have any questions for myself, my name is Fionnuala Finnegan, and I'm the Student Recruitment Officer at Maynooth University. So if you have any questions for us here this evening, and I do hope that you have lots and lots, I'll just point you in the direction of the Q&A box. I'm obviously on my telephone, so it's slightly different for me. If you are on your telephone, the Q&A box is at the top of your screen. If you're on a laptop or a PC, it's down on the bottom, close to the chat box. Judith is going to drop in any useful links that will come up throughout this evening's chat, and you can pop in questions at any time, and we will get to those as we go through this evening's events. So without further ado, I'm going to mute my microphone now in a moment, and I'm going to hand over to Jennifer. Would you like to press the screen share there, Jennifer?
Yeah, no problem. If you give me 2 seconds, guys.
Oh, take your time, absolutely.
So we'll press that first and share, and then now, how is that for everybody?
Perfect. That's great, Jennifer.
Okay, perfect.
Great. Thank you. So guys, welcome. It's nice to meet you. My name is Jennifer Bolton. I'm one of the student budgeting advisors here at Maynooth University. My colleague is Ruth Colleen. She's not with me today, but she's with me in spirit. So I'm just going to go through a few things about what we offer here. First of all, we are one or second only university that has budgeting advisors, and we are the only university that has 2 budgeting advisors. We offer kind of a holistic approach, and we really believe in financial well-being having an effect on students' time in Maynooth University and you know, their ability to focus on their studies. So without further ado, we'll go ahead. So one of the main things that we get from, I suppose, students is how to plan for starting in university. So first of all, check out your course, check out the college. MU is fantastic. It's a lovely place. I don't know if any of you guys have been on campus, but if you can get up and have a wander around, it's absolutely fab. You can see it behind me on my screen. That's what it looks like from above. And then we're going to talk about plan your budget and review it regularly. We'll go through that as well. But that's important to plan your budget and to review it regularly, and then kind of to find out financial supports for your circumstances, both within MU or whatever college you decide, and then obviously externally. So, you know, there are external, you know, options there available as well. And ask for help, which is really important. If you don't put your hand up and say, sorry, I'm just wondering about this, then nobody can really answer that question. So it's really important. So as we're planning our budget for university, one of the big main questions is that fees. So you have the fees are kind of broken down into 2. You have tuition fees. If you're entitled, comes from the government. It's a free fees scheme. You know, you can check that out, you know, if you're entitled, but most people are, let's say, if they come to university. So that's automatically paid to the college. You don't even see it. And then what you have is the student contribution of 3,000, which everybody has to pay. Now, there are options that you can apply for a Susie grant, which I will go through later on. If you are eligible for that Susie grant, then they can pay, you know, a contribution to your fees, which would be half fees, or they might pay full fees, or they might pay full fees plus some maintenance. And lastly, from Maynooth University, everybody pays the 150, regardless if you receive Susie or not. Now, as I said, I just spoke to you about Susie. So Susie is the higher education grant. As I spoke about, you can get a fees grant, so part or full student contribution payment. So they'll pay 1,500 or 3,000 if you're eligible, or they might give you the student contribution full fees. So they'll pay the 3,000 and then pay that monthly maintenance grant. So information about Susie, I have some interesting websites, or the website here. So you have the www.susie.ie. There's that grant eligibility criteria, which is always good to go into and have a look if you're, you know, if you think you would be eligible. You could look at the criteria, then you can look at that eligibility reckoner, which kind of allows you to put all your details in and to see if you would be eligible. Then you have tips for applications. And then you can appeal it, but just be aware of your appeal timelines. Usually they give you 30 days to appeal it. You can also consider change of circumstances and holiday earnings. So just let me be clear. So if we're going into academic year 2022 to 2023, they look at your 2021 proof of income. So what can happen is sometimes in 2022, things can change. You can have a loss of income, loss of employment, reduction in income for the student or for the parents or guardians. If that's the case, you can put in change of circumstances and get them to review your 2022. And also holiday income is really important for all students. Please look this up. It's really, really important. So Susie allows students to work 2 weeks at Easter, your summer holidays, which would be like May up until the end of August, the first week in September, and 2 weeks at Christmas. You're allowed to earn up to 4,500 without that going towards your household income. So that's great. So what would be the eligibility criteria? This is can be a bit confusing, this table. It's the best that we could do because it is slightly confusing, but I hope that I can explain it to you correctly. So the first column there is the grant type. Then you have whether you're 30 kilometers from the university or over 30 kilometers from the university. Then you have 0 to 3 dependents, 4 to 7 dependents, 8 or more dependents, and then the next one is if you have anyone else in further or higher education. Dependents are anybody in higher education and below, okay? So that first column there is all the same. It's if your household is household income, which would be either your parents, your guardians, and the student, or if the student is an independent, would be 24,500, and you need to have a long-term social welfare payment. Okay. The next row there is, you'll see that the first one there is 40,875. That's for 0 to 3 dependents. If you have 4 to 7, you can see that it moves up to 44,810, and so on. If you have 8 or more dependents, it moves up. And then if you have somebody else in higher education, you can add that 4,950 to that figure. Okay, that will give you 157 maintenance per month. And it would also pay your full fees. The one above that 24,500, you will either get 286 per month if you're 30 kilometers or under. If you're 30 kilometers or over, you get that 679 per month. Okay, and as you can see, the higher the income is, the supports start to go down until we can see the last 2 rows there, where we're at now 50,840 for 0 to 3 dependents. that you'll receive only the 3,000 towards your fees. You will not receive any maintenance. And then if, again, you're on that 55 to 40 for 0 to 3 dependents, you'll receive 50% of the Susie grant, which is, or 50% of the student contribution, which is 1,500. Now, Susie can be confusing. We do talks only on Susie, so do watch out for them as well. So some interesting, links there, or resources. The Susie, www.susie.ie. You've got the email there, so you can email them. We would always say there is a telephone line, but I would always recommend that if you have a question for Susie, to email them, because then you have proof of the email correspondence with them. Okay. Now, what are the costs? Well, essential costs are IT equipment. This year we had long-term laptop loans. I'm hoping they go ahead in 2022 to 2023. There is a criteria for them. And if that does go ahead, you can look at that criteria when you're coming into the university and apply. But it is, I think at this point, fairly essential that you try and get some sort of a laptop, or if you can't, look for that long-term laptop loan. There is laptops in our library and in the student services building that you can rent for 3 hours. So when you log on to your MU login, it will automatically go to your page. So you can use, one of those kind of laptops for 3 hours, but still save your stuff to your file, if that makes any sense. Rent, we have Home Finder, so please have a look at that. So there could be a room in somebody's house, or a house for rent, and we do have, we do put out a call for the landlords in the area, and they would be kind of a lot of them will be long-standing with us, and they rent to our students. So do have a look at that. It will be reopening. Don't quote me on this because it hasn't been confirmed, but it will be reopening hopefully for the academic year 2022 to 2023, just before or after Easter. And that's how quick you kind of have to be. Okay. Travel, you have there how much it's going to cost to travel. You have your student leave card, which you can get from the MSU. In Dublin bus and train, it gets capped at 30. So many times you use that, it's capped at 30. If you use just Dublin bus alone, it's capped at 20. Some private buses do give you a discount on it, but some other private buses, you just have to pay the full amount. You would have to check from where you're living and the options there, but that is a cost that you have to consider. And again, so is the rent, and remember bills as well on top of the rent. Books, printing and stationery. A lot of the courses will give you, stuff online, which is great. You have the library to use, which is brilliant. And I would totally advise you to go into the library, have a chat with them. They're amazing. And they give so much information. So even if you ask for a book, they'll give you other recommendations as well, maybe for an assignment, whatever. So it is good to get into the library, but that is a cost if you're doing something like law and criminology, depending on your course. And then medical expenses. Thankfully, it's amazing. In MU, we have a very holistic approach. We have our GP, who is free for all students. We have our counselling service, which is free, and they're all on campus. So, that's amazing. And then the good old grocery shopping. If you're planning to come to university, please, please, please learn how to cook. It will save you a fortune. You'll be very surprised how much money slips out of your hand when you're eating out all the time. So spend the summer learning how to cook. Other possible costs, placements. You might have block placement for a week or maybe a couple of months, depending on your course. That means you'll no longer be able to, maybe if you had a part-time job previous, you're going to be working from, 9 to 5 or whatever it is, Monday to Friday. So that, and then the cost of that. So wherever you're living to getting to that placement. So that is something that you need to consider. Field trips. So mandatory field trips are paid or are supported by Susie if they're mandatory. However, you have to pay up front and then you get your Susie. Susie will compensate you for that after. So course materials like lab coats and software, that needs to be considered as well. Cost for science labs, design. So you might need a special laptop or camera. Clubs and societies, it's an extra cost. It's not much, and definitely worth it. That can, really find, there's a society for everyone. If there's not one there for you, create it, because it's a place of finding people that are like-minded to you, and enjoy the same things as you. So I would definitely encourage you guys to do that. And then the Erasmus year. So in the Erasmus year, which is usually in your third year, if you are planning to do it, do kind of consider that nearly to start saving for it when you start, because there is a grant given to everyone that goes, regardless of parental or student income. However, it isn't given to you until the December. So you're, October, November, December, wherever you are with no grant. All right. Susie grant will cover you for that if you do have a Susie grant, just to be clear. And then stuff that when you come to our service, things that we can support you with. So we can support you with something called the Student Assistance Fund. It's a government fund and it's given to every university, well, most universities. We receive it here in Maynooth. We take it very seriously. We know that this is a great fund that can really help students who are in financial difficulty. So as I said, it helps students who are in significant financial difficulty and allow them to continue with their studies. It is for full and part-time registered students. It is means tested based on your family income, and we are 17.5% higher than the Susie. So even if you're not receiving Susie, does not mean that you can't come and you could be eligible for the SAF. And I think also students who are on Susie and who maybe have a part-time work job, you can also come and chat to us, because we understand that there's a lot of there's a lot of expenses associated sometimes with going to college. Students can in Maynooth University apply more than once, which I think is amazing. And again, you come to us, we have a little chat, and we see if or how we can help you guys. Other support funds that Maynooth University offer, we offer a student emergency fund. Again, that is through us. It is for an unexpected and unforeseen circumstance, but it is something that we look at when we're chatting to you and see if you'd be eligible for it. And then a short-term loan anyone can get. It is this is the only one that's a loan. Just to be clear, the Student Assistance Fund and the Student Emergency Fund is not a loan. You do not have to pay it back, but the short-term loan you do. So it's up to €50. It's for example, you left the house with your Leap card, you got on the bus, you get to college and you realize you have no money because you left your wallet at home. And you don't want to be asking friends. So you can get €10, you can get €20. And it just means that, you can buy yourself your lunch and then you can pay it back the next day if you need. Or, if you are struggling a bit and you're getting paid on the Friday and it's Thursday, and you just need, to get a bit of lunch, you can do that. But just once you realize that, you do have to pay that back. So some of the external and internal, so I just went through some of the internal stuff that Maynooth offer for support, financial support. So this would be like an external, you apply through Maynooth 1916 Bursary, but it is an external bursary. It's government run again. There is in and around 10 bursaries available per year. You can only apply for it if you're going into first year. It's for full and part-time students. I will always say, if you read the criteria and if you're on the fence, apply. If you think you're eligible, apply. You know, and if you've applied for other things, it doesn't matter, just apply. Let the bursary tell you that you're not eligible. That's what I say. What does this give you? It gives you 5,000 per year, which is amazing. 2,500 in the first semester and 2,500 in the second semester. It is for undergraduate students only. It is for incoming students only. So it's that first year part. And it is for those first time study at higher level. And it's for socioeconomic disadvantage and from target groups. And we're just going to have a look at that, what that means now. So socioeconomically disadvantaged will be depending on their target, but it would be in and around the Susie grant, you know, amounts. First time mature students, lone parents, students with disability, Irish travellers, further education award holders, ethnic minorities, and in care of the state. So if you feel like you're meeting any of them, you could definitely apply and see how it goes. If you want to find out more information, you can go on to Maynooth University, put in, you know, Maynooth University 1916 Bursary Fund and have a look at it. It's not open. It usually opens in around August, September, and it is an online application form. You will need documents, you know, for it. But what I say is, when you start to apply, if you're applying for Susie or if you're applying for any of these things, get yourself a folder, because they do ask for the same kind of documents. Get yourself your folder, put all your documents in so you're ready to go. Other alternative university supports. So during your CAO, you can fill out that higher education access route, the HERE, and then you would find out if you are eligible for that through the CAO. They send you a letter, and then you have the DARE Disability Access to Education route. Both of those routes are supported through our access office. And they're contacted through the access office if you are eligible for that. So it's great support through the access office for students coming through those routes, and the mature route as well. So there's some useful websites. You've got the studentfinance.ie, you've got education.ie, the scholarships, Maynooth University Money Matters, that's our website. So we've got links to all those things as well. The Susie website, the MABS website. I mean, MABS, you know, if you want to make an appointment with them, they can go through your circumstances and what you need as well, which is great. Citizens Information, just amazing information on that. And then the Access Office, Maynooth website, and then accesscollege.ie goes through the HERE and DARE criteria. So more information about the university we have on, I think this is an older one. So I'm not sure if that was supposed to be April the 22, but I'm sure we'll get an update of that. Sorry.
It's the 30th of April 22.
Sorry.
Is that for open day? Thanks so much, Jennifer.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
No problem at all.
Now, is that all right? Did I stop sharing that? No, I didn't. Stop sharing that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. A couple of questions I think have come in on the chat, Judith, have they?
Yes, indeed. Hi there. Yeah, there've been a few questions about the 1916 bursary specifically, Jennifer. I know it's Access Office, really, isn't it? Who are the
yeah, but if I can answer, I'll go ahead and answer it.
Yeah, there's something about the 1916 bursary. Do students apply to the university? That is their first preference. What if they aren't sure where they will be studying?
Usually it's open by the time you receive your application, or by the time you receive your place. So that's one. There's another one for Uversity, which is more for mature students. It's called Uversity. You can just Google that up. And that actually, just to be clear, is ending on the 25th of the 3rd. So you would be applying to that blind to, you know, the knowledge of if you're getting a place, if you have a place, and where you're going. What they assess you first is, do you make the cut, basically? And then after that, if you get the place accepted, you're good to go. While with the 1916 bursary, you accept your place and they kind of open it in the September usually, and then you would apply whatever college you're in. So that's how they do it.
Thanks, Jennifer. Yeah, and also a question about EU students and Susie. So a couple of questions about Susie, really. So can EU students and can international students apply for Susie?
International students, no. One of your visa 2 criterias is that you have funding to come over and study, and to show that. It's also stipulated that you can't actually apply for any kind of funds while you're here. As far as you're concerned with the EU students or EEA, yes, you can. It is slightly different. You don't, what I remember, but it is on their website. You wouldn't receive the monthly payments, but you can receive help with tuition once you are eligible, obviously. And there is a criteria to that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Someone else has popped in a question just in relation to our open day. Will it be online or will it be on campus? Fingers crossed it's going to be on campus. Truth be told, I actually missed the last team meeting. So maybe Judith, has that been confirmed? Have we been given the green light for an on-campus open day?
I think insofar as anything is certain in this world, we're certainly hoping that it will be, and we're planning for it to be on the campus. And there is a timetable which is going to be published tomorrow. So that'll be on the website from tomorrow.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Oh, Jennifer, your sound supposedly is coming and going a little bit. I hear it okay from my end. So that just came in. And another question has come in. Does the 1916 bursary take academic performance into account, or is it solely based on socio-economic circumstance?
Well, the criteria I went through, so it's socioeconomic plus targeted groups. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not other scholarships, and that's what I mean. I really think, you know, guys, have a look out. There is scholarships for academic achievement. You can look at the scholarship webpage in Maynooth or whatever college you're deciding to go to. Credit union in your local area also does education scholarships. St. Vincent de Paul do education scholarships. So I really encourage you guys to really open your eyes to your local area, because it's not only internal, it's not only 1916. There are other types of scholarships that you can receive.
Fantastic. And actually, thank you so much. That's really useful information, Jennifer. Something that popped into my head in terms of the internal supports that your office offers, like it is called the SAF and the SEF. Do students need to make an appointment to get those supports, or can they just drop into your office? What's the procedure?
Yeah, well, currently at the moment, what would happen is a student would go online to our Money Matters webpage. They would click book an appointment. They would fill out a form. It's just a simple form to kind of look at the budgeting, what's going on with your situation. Then you would make an appointment, come and have a chat with us, and we'd kind of go through your circumstances and see if you'd meet the criteria, or if we think you're a good candidate for the SAF or SEF, and then we would put you forward for that.
Super, that's great. Another question has just come in there in relation to, I'm assuming, Joan, it's in relation to wider campus accommodation. So that is an online application process, and it is happening after first round offers in August. And a bit like Jennifer was saying, sort of to familiarize yourself with the process now, between now and definitely during the summer, have a look at the different types of accommodation that are on offer at Maynooth, whether your son or daughter or yourself, what you might prefer, the costings around each of those, how the application process works. Because really I would discourage you to just sit down 10 minutes before it goes live and try to figure it out. It's first come, first served. It's very hectic. So take the time now just to do a little bit of research and see what you might like. I hope that's answered the question for you.
And maybe I should have gone into that. There are different solutions to accommodation. You have what you call digs, which is just a room in a house that maybe you can stay the week, or you can stay just the 5 days and you have to go home for the weekend. So that's sometimes a cheaper option. Bills are included. Then you have on-campus accommodation, and then you have the off-campus accommodation where you rent maybe with 3 or 4 other students. So there is alternatives. Do have a look around.
Fantastic. I tell you what we might do, folks, and I'm loving the amount of questions that are coming in. Conscious of the fact that Oriana is there as well, I really would like to hear from her and her experience, and then we'll definitely leave time then at the end, maybe about 10 minutes for more questions and everything like that, because you might have questions for Oriana, what she studied at Maynooth and her experience as well. So are you there? Sorry, my phone isn't great.
Hello, yeah, I'm here.
Great, how are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Fantastic. Can you tell everyone here tonight a little bit about how you ended up in Maynooth in the first instance?
Yeah, so hi everyone, my name's Oriana. So I currently work within student services in Maynooth University, but I've actually been with Maynooth since 2017. I came in through the Bachelor of Arts program, which I think is MH101 and the CAO. And in my second year, I then transferred to the Bachelor of Civil Law and Criminology, which I think is MH501, and then finished that up, 502, sorry. Finished that up then and went straight into a master's. So I did the Masters of Law and International Justice and finished that last year. And I loved Maynooth so much, I decided to try my luck at getting a job, and that's how I ended up working here at the moment. So during my studies, I had some really good opportunities to set up a brand new student society. So as Jennifer was saying, we do have loads of clubs and societies here at Maynooth, but if there isn't anything there that takes your fancy, do set one up. The opportunity is there. So in my case, there was no criminology society for the new criminology students. So myself and a couple of fellow students set that up. Really great experience for all of us. I also was able to do a lot of extracurricular activities through the Maynooth Access program. So again, as Jennifer mentioned, the Access Office looks after students who come in through the Here or Dare scheme, and also mature students. And I believe other students from other backgrounds, so for example, students from the traveling community and communities like that. So if you're with the Access Office, there are other opportunities to volunteer there. We run lots of events throughout the year. So that was also a really great experience. So for me, yes, very much so. And it was really helpful as well looking for work throughout college to be able to say, look, I have a lot of experience working with teams and with different groups and organizing events and things like that. So in my circumstance, college was made possible for me through Susie. And it is a very complicated process and it can be a little bit daunting, but it was made a lot easier by visiting the student budget advisors in Maynooth. It can change from year to year depending on your circumstances. So I used to pop in to Ruth or Jennifer every year and be like, look, I have to reapply, something's changed, I don't know what I'm doing. And they would be so helpful and take me through the whole process. Other things that I would do to manage my finances, well, I had to do work a part-time job, like most students. So there is a lot of opportunities on campus to work part-time, which is something that people might not be aware of. So I would recommend anybody who would like to work on campus to keep an eye on the Maynooth Students' Union Facebook page. They do post a lot of job opportunities there for students. I applied for work in the Students' Union shop, which is on campus. And so I worked there for about a year until COVID hit. And it was really great. It was nice to work there because it's all student staff. Other opportunities are part-time jobs in the Students' Union bar and the Students' Union front office. So again, that's a really great experience to have when you leave university, to be able to say, well, I've worked in these various cohorts of the student union and things like that. And again, even though I got Susie and I was working part-time, I was still able to apply for other funding through the Student Budgeting Advice Service, such as the Student Assistance Fund. And that was really, really helpful for me, because without the additional assistance, it probably wouldn't have been financially feasible for me to continue with my studies. So it's a really great service. It's completely non-judgmental. I remember going in and thinking, oh, I'm only making so much a week from my job, and this is my budget for the week, and there's really not a lot of room to work here. But when you go in, you'd be surprised about the kind of advice and the variety of supports that there are available out there for students. So for those of you joining us in September, I really do recommend making an appointment with Ruth or Jennifer and seeing what is there for you. So I think that's all for me for the moment. If anybody has any questions, please just pop them into the chat and I'll do my best to answer them.
Fantastic. I have a question for you, Oriana. How did you know that you would like to study law at Maynooth? How did you come about it? I know you came into MH 101, and you chose it as one of your other 3 subjects. So what did you put together with your law, and how did you choose it and why?
So in first year, I really wanted to do English and psychology. So those were my 2 big subjects. In MH 101, you can pick up to 4 subjects in your first year. With that, criminology was brand new that year, so I popped that down, and then I had an empty space for a subject, and I thought, well, I might as well just put law in there because it goes well with criminology. So it was really by accident that I kind of ended up studying law. And by the end of the year, I decided that English and psychology were great, but I really love law and criminology. So I did a complete 180 and switched over to the BCL course. And just to say as well, to those of you looking at the MH 101 course, there is a lot of options to transfer into other degrees. Law is just one option. I think you can transfer into business degrees and things like that, so long as you do the subjects in first year.
Correct.
So yeah, that's how I ended up in law then.
And you obviously, you love it. Do you think, I know you're in student services at the moment, and you're obviously loving your role there, but do you think maybe down the line that you would maybe go for a job in with law as part of it?
I think so. Definitely, there's a lot of room there to think about it, because there's obviously the options such as solicitor or barrister, which personally didn't really appeal to me. In my role, there's a little bit of scope for me to do research within student services, and as a law student, particularly with the postgrad, I did my thesis. There's a lot of research involved in that. So you can do so much with a law degree. For example, I could go into HR if I wanted to. Again, the solicitor barrister route is always there. You could work within the court service, within An Garda Síochána, roles within public sector, like in the government. So I have a lot of choice, I think.
Yeah. You
absolutely
do. So if we were to bring you back to the beginning of your journey, where are you from originally?
From Clane, Kildare.
Oh, you're only down the road.
Yeah.
So did you come to university with friends, or did you come in on your own? And if you came in on your own, how do you kind of settle into university life? If there's students here that are really considering that they might be from further afield, what kind of bit of advice would you give them about how to settle in and to kind of enjoy yourself in first year?
So I came in, there were a lot of people from my school who came to Maynooth, but from my own friend group, not that many. So it was a little bit daunting coming in then and not really having my really close friends there with me. But I think one of the most important things I did was sign up to student societies when I came in and go to those events, because it's the perfect way to meet like-minded people and make friends there. Other ways would literally just be to go to your lectures and get talking to the people beside you. You know, everyone's in the same boat. Everyone is nervous, looking to make new friends. So if you turn to the person next to you and just ask them, you know, do you have any idea what's going on here? Or how's it going? You know, people will be very happy to talk, and you know, we can always meet up with people, have a coffee outside class, and it's you'll find it's very easy to make friends and find your people at Maynooth.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a nice community vibe, actually, I have to say.
Yeah.
So how did you go about setting up the Criminology Society then?
It's very easy. There are two people who work in the Clubs and Societies office. They're both called Mary, so we all lovingly refer to them as the two Marys. So you just pop into the two Marys in the Clubs and Socks office and just let them know you want to set up a new society. They'll give you a form to fill out. It's best if you already have a few people who are interested in setting up this society with you so that you can fill out this form together. It's a couple of questions, just like, why do you want to set it up? What benefit do you think the society or club would have to the university? And then you need to get 30 signatures on that form to show the Clubs and Socks office that there is an interest among the student population for this club or society. Once you get those signatures, you're more than likely going to have that signed off. I think a year or two ago, we signed off on a chicken wing society. So you can literally set up anything as long as the interest is there.
Oh my gosh, 30 people interested in chicken wings. I can see it, definitely. If my son ever goes to Maynooth, he would definitely be part of that society anyway, that's for sure. If you were to give a little bit of advice to your Leaving Cert self, what would it be?
Just to plan as much as you can and really investigate, look at all the courses that are there. I would also say definitely come to the open day and reach out to students who are already in Maynooth University. I think a lot of departments will have a student there that you can talk to, so to really get the student experience and how they find it. But yeah, my biggest piece of advice really would just be to plan and do as much research as you can. It never hurts to start early.
Absolutely, and to chat to people as well. Did you actually come to open day when you were obviously pre-COVID? Yeah,
I came to all the open days. I think there's usually one in November and then one in April, so I came to both of them.
Yes, well, they've been online up to now, obviously because of COVID, and we haven't been able to, but we're definitely fingers crossed for the end of April anyway, and delighted to be welcoming people back in and to show off our new TSI building as well, which will be amazing. What was I going to say? Were you surprised? What surprised you most about coming to university, I suppose, going to college? Because we have ideas in our head about what we think it will be like. Was the biggest surprise the fact that you thought you were going to end up in psychology and English and you pivoted and you're doing law and criminology?
That was definitely very surprising for me. I think I came in and I had this 3-year plan in my head. I said, oh, I'm going to be a psychologist or whatever at the end of this. And then obviously came out the other end, not that at all. But I think the biggest surprise for me coming to university was the freedom that you have when you come to campus. It's totally different to secondary school when you have your set lunch times and your set class times. In university, it's really on you to have your study plan in place, have your timetable there, to know, how to manage your free time and how to manage your essays and your extracurricular activities. And like that, it can be a little bit daunting at first, but we have loads of supported student services to help you through that.
Absolutely. You mentioned actually when you were giving us a little introduction into yourself and all of the different experiences you had at Maynooth, were you ever a student ambassador? Actually, that just popped into my mind, maybe to flag that with students as well.
Not a student ambassador, no, I was for the Access office.
Oh, kind of a MAP ambassador. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose just to let students know here tonight, if they were interested after, obviously, if you come into Maynooth and you're settled in and you're enjoying the experience and you'd like to maybe give back and chat to fifth year students or Leaving Cert students at open day and help us out in the admissions office, you can get involved and you're paid for your time as well. So we would have a lot of student ambassadors helping us in different guises, and you're paid for your time. So you would contact my colleague Emma Shine down the line if it ever did interest you. And it's also another way of making a bit of spare cash as well, and giving it back and getting the experience, and that can go in your academic transcript. So that is really good. So thank you so much, Oriana. And if anyone has any questions about law and criminology, or even the arts degree, or the various bits and pieces that Oriana went over there, then please do pop them into the Q&A box. A question actually has just come in here in reference to being a deferred student. So I suppose if you were offered a course on the CAO last year and you decided to defer it for the year, you are applying again through the CAO. So you would be applying for accommodation then in August, alongside everyone else. If you are a continuing student, I am not too sure when continuing students apply for accommodation. I believe it's around the same time. But what I would advise you to do would be to have a look at the accommodation section on our website, and maybe Judith might pop the link in there if she gets a chance.
Yeah, no problem.
And
I'll do that now.
thank you so much. And speaking of Judith, have any other questions come into our chat box, Judith, as we were chatting there?
Not particularly. Back on screen. Really just about the laptop loans, I think, was people interested in those, and the other, I guess, any other options that there are for students in terms of those types of supports. But yeah, Jennifer, thank you, has popped in the link there for the laptop loans and the information about those. And in terms of accommodation, I think really we should defer to our colleagues in the accommodation office for the most, I guess, up-to-date information about those dates and so forth. So I'm going to just pop in the link there for that. But I think they're the best people to contact for that information.
They certainly are. They certainly are. And actually, Jennifer mentioned in her presentation here and there, and I suppose just to flag with people that we will be running an MU Live, which is a bit out of the norm, because recently we've been holding them on a Wednesday evening, a Wednesday webinar. But ahead, I suppose, of the deadline of the 15th, which is next week, we'll be holding a special here and there webinar this Friday from 4 till 5 p.m. The link is live. So if anyone is interested in that, please do sign up, and we'll be chatting with colleagues in the Access office on Friday, all about that. I also wanted to mention something else in relation to MU Live. Judith, it's a really good idea. I think, we're sort of halfway through the season, and, we have ideas about what people would be interested in having more information on, and that's what we've been running so far. But we'd like to get your input. What do you think we should be doing next for MU Live? Are there any aspects of student life or life at Maynooth University that you would love to hear about that you haven't already heard about? So I suppose if you just pop those into the chat box, and we will make note of those, and we will definitely do our best to be able to give you what you're looking for, within reason, I suppose. Yeah. So if you have any other, so give you a couple of minutes there, or a minute just to pop those things in, and don't be shy. You can pop them in. We'll make a note of it, as I said, and then going forward, we will tailor the MU Live to suit also your needs. So if you have any other questions for Oriana or Jennifer or myself or Judith, you can also pop them into the Q&A box. It's awkward trying to keep on top of everything on my phone, so I do apologize about that. You can see my finger coming in.
I just want to say, sorry, one thing just for everybody out there. Our service does take emails, student.budget@mu.ie for prospective students. So if you have a particular situation, you may be on social welfare payment, or you may be looking to see what kind of Susie, you might have a question about Susie. We do take emails. We're happy to chat to you about your particular circumstances that maybe you don't want to speak, chat to in a forum like this. And like Oriana said, we've seen it all, we've heard it all, we've done it all ourselves. So we're non-judgmental. So, if you do have any questions, you can always contact us directly.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I think you're all busy there adding to the chat box, which is fantastic. Someone said that did we miss the talk? We are almost at the end. We are definitely almost at the end, but the good thing is that this session is being recorded, as all our MU Lives are all recorded. So if you go to mu.ie/MU Live, tomorrow afternoon, we should have the recording ready it'll be behind today's date, basically the 9th of March 2022, with student budgeting and advice. So if you click on it, you'll be brought to the talk. You'll be brought to this evening's webinar. So we have done bits on accommodation and clubs and socks. Oh yeah, oh sorry, yeah, sorry, I thought that was a question. Amazing. And if anyone actually has any questions, so we might leave the chat section for suggestions, and we will leave maybe the Q&A box for questions. So a question actually has come in here. Can anyone apply for the long-term laptop or PC loan? And do they apply to the university or the department? Or perhaps you've answered that already.
Yeah, I just sent a link there. It gives you the eligibility criteria, and it gives you all the information about it. There is a criteria, so do have a good read of that. As I say, you can always apply. If you're on the fence and you're not sure, you can apply and let the laptop loan guys tell you if you're not eligible. What it means by a laptop loan, it means that the university gives you a laptop for the duration of your study, but you do then have to give it back.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. A question has come in here actually. Is the highest rate of Susie grant enough to pay for on-campus accommodation?
So the highest rate of Susie would be if you're over 30k from the university, your household is 24,500 and under, and there's a long-term social welfare payment that is 657. I think it's a little bit higher this year actually, because just to be clear, they have upped the Susie, yay. But it's in around 657 or above, a little bit above. I think it's 678 or something this year. But it really depends. You need to have a look what you're looking for and what's available. You know, I could tell you that you could get a room in Diggs and it would cover it, but then that mightn't be for you. You know, I could tell you to have a look at that on campus accommodation. Again, that mightn't be for you. So, you know, just do kind of have a look at what's available, what would suit you, and then do out a budget. That's what I always say. And I always say it's not just the rent. If you have to pay the bills as well and the food, just include that in your budgeting.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. A very valid question has come in here in relation to, and I'm not sure you might know, the kinds of documents that are required for your Susie application, Jennifer. Yes. Is it complicated?
Well, I mean, Oriana has recently done it as a student. I did it actually in 2016, so it was a while ago. I think it's more annoying than complicated. There are supports, so it opens up, I think, in April. But if you are coming to, for example, Maynooth, and you want assistance in helping to apply, we are available to go through that. That's one of the services that we provide. Because it can be, if you don't have maybe other people that have done Susie in your household or in your, you know, in your family network. So we can help with that application. But things that you would need is, so it's always the year behind. So for 2022, you need your 2021. So they'll be looking for your statement of liability, which you can get on the revenue, and things. Maybe Oriana can answer a little bit of that, but I wouldn't say it's complicated. It's just really annoying, maybe
tedious and a bit time consuming.
Yes. Yeah.
So cups of tea or cups of coffee,
and take your breaks.
Your time and take your breaks. Yeah. I remember, and I don't know if this is valid, but I remember a while ago someone giving a bit of advice to a student to say photocopy everything that you're kind of sending in, so that you have evidence and you're, you know, and you have these documents again for yourself, and they don't get lost.
Yeah,
such as the nature of a paper trail. Yeah.
A folder is what you need, you know, a folder that says 2021 student, and it's all your documentation, because basically you'll need it for everything. You know, it's hard getting it the first time, but once you have it in that folder, when you apply for the 1916 bursary, for example, they'll need the same documentation. But maybe Oriana, can you remember what you might need for that?
I think it depends on the student. So for example, if you're already living out of your home, like out of your parents' home, you might need your own, possibly your pay slips, definitely your statement of liability, things like that. For most students, I think you might be coming in perhaps probably still living with your parents. That was my situation, and in that case I needed a parent's statement of liability. So you will need your parent or guardian's information in that circumstance.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Is Susie just for undergraduate, or does it go all the way up postgraduate PhD? It obviously it does if you did the postgrad masters last year, Oriana. Yeah. So
Yeah, it goes right up 4 years after undergrad. So what that would mean is that you get your undergrad, you get your postgrad, but then you get 3 years of a PhD. So usually PhD is 4 years. So just to be aware of that, but yes, it goes right up.
Your final year, that could be a sting. You might have to, save. And it's just for EU students, am I right? It's not for international students? No,
Sorry,
okay.
no, sorry.
Okay,
No
so
students, afraid.
a bit of a three-pronged question came in there. So thank you so much for the question. So I suppose most of us here are in offices that deal with undergraduates. So, coming on to study their first time degree, 3 or 4 years, but the graduate studies office would be able to advise you on any masters that you're interested in doing in psychology. So yeah, they're definitely the office to contact. And if Judith, if she has a moment, might graciously pop the link in there for that person. So thank you so much for that question. I'm just going to close here. Anything else, folks, that I'm missing here with my big thumbs? Thanks again. We have a couple of minutes left if you've any other questions for myself or Judith or Jennifer or Oriana. Thanks so much, Judith. Amazing.
I might just come in there with something Oriana said about being an independent student versus dependent. So an independent student is somebody over 23 who's been living out of their parental home the October prior to studying. So that would be proof of living independently from October 2021. So just to be clear on that. And you have to be over 23. If you are an independent student under 23, you have to prove estrangement. And there's a lot of documentation to that, just to be clear for everybody.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. The battery on my phone is going, folks. It's not great. Thank you. Listen, if there aren't any other questions in, I'm going to thank you all so much for joining us here this evening. It really was so informative. So someone has just popped in something there at the last minute. Oh, let me just see what it says. Oh, great.
Student supports for MU seem excellent. Are the supports from other colleges relatively similar, or is MU less expensive college compared to Dublin?
I would say being in a different college that there are similar, but I have to say working in MU, they are amazing supports here. Absolutely. The holistic approach to a student is unreal. And from being in a Dublin university myself, from seeing it from that point of view, yes, they do have supports and they're great, but Maynooth University definitely trumps them.
Oh, naughty. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to everyone. Thank you to Judith for tirelessly dropping in the links and being on board with us this evening, and for Jennifer for that fabulous presentation and all of your lovely information. And Jennifer, your email, how can people contact you again? Sorry, is it student.office? No.
No, I put it in the chat, and then that would make it easier for everybody.
And to Oriana as well. Thank you all so much for giving over your Wednesday evenings. And I hope everyone found it really informative. I certainly did. As I said, the recording will be available for you from tomorrow afternoon. So anyone maybe who wasn't able to join.
That's in the chat now.
That's in the chat. Fantastic. That's great. Look, thank you all so much. I shall bid you all farewell. And I hope to see everyone at Open Day. I really do. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. And Friday, if sooner, at the Here and There, if anyone here is interested in that again. Thanks, guys. Bye.